Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today we are going to be playing with Delthar's Soldier Stompy decklist that he recently 5-0'd with. This is a continuation of the series funded by Sean K to kind of explore prison decks in all colors and varieties. So why soldiers, I guess, is a good starting point, because you can build a white stompy deck that is not very soldier focused. And admittedly, this one's not entirely tribal, but what is the appeal of soldiers? Well, Preeminent Captain is a really good way to cheat on mana, and in Legacy, one of the biggest things that you can do to get ahead is cheat on mana. A lot of the artifact decks, kind of in the 8-cast fashion, are often cheating on mana by using artifacts to reduce the cost of their creatures, and then you have things like Aether Vials, or Ancient Tombs, or even just Mana Dorks that just cheat on mana and allow you to play your big powerful things faster. Preeminent Captain can be played on turn 1 in this deck on Ancient Tomb and Chrome Mox hands, and can be a way to kind of spiral the game out of control while using your other resources to warp the game in some other capacity. Such as, shutting off fetch lands with Suppression Field, which feels pretty dirty. Now, the deck is not entirely tribal. We do have a very strong soldier card, and Enlistment Officer can allow us to get not only Hatebears like Thalia and more other Thalia, but also removal spells such as Brutal Cathar or Palace Jailer. So this is kind of our package. We get Recruiter of the Guard and Enlistment Officer as card advantage engines. We get Chrome Mox, Ancient Tomb, and Preeminent Captain as sort of mana acceleration in one form or another. And we have a pretty robust hate package that is balanced out by Vintage All-Star Archon of Emeria. As far as the sideboard goes, it's pretty pointed. This is for combo. This is for decks that care about having lands, like a lot of lands, though. Your slower control decks. Rest in Peace is for graveyard stuff. And then Kataki and Cathar Commando are for your artifact decks. So we're not necessarily looking to solve everything with the sideboard. We're not playing very, very, very flexible cards, such as Council's Judgment. We are trying to answer specific problems that the deck might have and kind of ignoring a lot of the other stuff. A lot of the time, I haven't felt like these decks are very good. I'm very excited to play these. I think they are a lot of fun. But a lot of times in these sort of white prison-y decks, white Eldrazi decks, the mana ends up being a little bit rough. Because every time you're playing cards like Ancient Tomb that are meant to accelerate out your Chalice of the Voids, these are things that don't have white pips in them, and especially when you are playing double white cards, that ends up being pretty tough on the mana base. And similarly, the Cavern of Souls doesn't actually cast some of these sideboard cards like Rest in Peace, and if you put it on Soldier, it does miss out on some of your creatures. So there's some huge upsides to playing this deck, but it's not without weakness. Yeah, I think with that said, let's go ahead and jump into the league. If you're new here and you like what you see, please consider subscribing to stick around. And if you're a regular, please throw me a like before this video begins. It's the easiest way to support my content for free. If you've been watching for a while and you're in the financial position to support me, please consider becoming a Patreon subscriber, a YouTube member, or doing a donation deck list to get one of your own sweet decks on the channel. And all that information, as well as this deck list, is in the video description. Fight! All right, round 1 here. I don't really think my hand's good. This is a hand that costs me a lot of life and really isn't doing anything unfair. I also think that there's a good chance that my opponent could be playing a prison deck. I think I'm just gonna mulligan this one. This one has a better chance of doing something unfair. After a mulligan, I don't think I can keep double Chrome Mox. But I think I'm happy enough to keep single Chrome Mox. Okay. Last time I played against this player, they were on a pretty sweet... I don't even know how to describe it. It was like a blue-white Karn deck. It was kind of nuts. Okay. What's the play? It's uncounterable, whatever it is, but what's the play? I think I sacrificed Preeminent Captain to a removal spell. I feel pretty good about that. with as little information as I have here. Throw one recruiter under here. Put that on soldier. And if this lives, cool. If it doesn't live, it's not that big of a deal. I have uncounterable Thalia next turn with Caracas protection to just kind of be a pain in my opponent's side. This play will be bad if my opponent is just a combo deck that is attempting to go off next turn. But I think, like, I cast Thalia, my opponent just fetches twice in response. And, like, that is what it is. Those are just raw fetches. We were waiting to pay costs on something, and then they stopped. Oh, it is a Life from the Loam. Absolutely. Ooh. Choices, 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 choices. I think I just start by seeing if this attack happens rather than casting something. Oh shit, this is on attack, not on damage. It's been a little while. Okay. Stifling the trigger. Cool. So this will be worth 2 damage. Are we playing against like a Bant Stifle Knot deck? I think I like Thalia Heretic Cathar better than regular Thalia here. Not 100% sure. I don't know what all I need to be playing around yet. But if my opponent's playing Life from the Loam, they're probably on like Field of the Dead, so they probably have a huge number of different lands. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Really wasn't expecting Stifle. If I knew to play around that, I could have played Thalia pre-combat and then like had both Thalia, Heretic Cathar, and regular Thalia. I wonder if I'm going to become the Monarch this game. Alright, Prismatic Ending on the Captain. Not a legendary creature. That occurs. Alright, there's a tapped Flooded Strand. And the land that this fetches might be tapped some portion of the time as well. Okay, nope, this is not the screen I want. I want this screen. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and crash in with my 3-2. Feel very confident about that. I feel very confident that my first play is Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. I don't need to worry about like a Supreme Verdict type card. This can go on Soldier as well. I am fine playing this turn. I am less sure about what I am supposed to get off of this Recruiter of the Guard. Like, Palace Jailer is reasonable for Monarch. Can't get Enlistment Officer for infinite value. It's an X3. I think I like grabbing Jailer here. It's a nice safety net. It's just, like, really hard for my opponent to block right now, and, like, this is 6 power. So outside of, like, a literal Miracle Terminus or something like that, I'm good, which is why I want some sort of Palace Jailer type card. Okay. Very aggressive start here. I didn't really get a lot of information on my opponent's deck, though. Like, I've seen 3 cards outside of lands. But I'm thinking this is some sort of, like, Bant, Uro, Stifle Knot, maybe Dress Down sort of deck. These are guaranteed good. These are probably good. Cathar Commando can answer a Sylvan Library very specifically. I don't know how into that I am. I don't know how into Chalice I am. Like, shutting off cantrips is cool. Shutting off the Stifles is cool. If my opponent is actually on actual factual Stifle Knot, like, that's another, like, the Dreadnought is another thing that this shuts off. But I already have 4 Brule Cathar, Palace Jailer, Solitude as removal spells. Maybe a Cathar Commando if I end up keeping it. I don't think I'm super into Chalice versus the Prismatic Ending deck. This will get me Ravages and at least the first copy of Rest in Peace. I think I'm a little less keen on Suppression Field on the draw. Like, the Suppression Fields are going to be hot at, like, stopping Uros specifically because of the color requirements. But Rest in Peace also stops Uro while also hitting the Life from the Loam side of my opponent's deck. Given the information that I have, I think I like this. This is a good hand that is very soft to Wasteland. I think I'm just going to accept that and kind of hope that, like, being on the draw here is okay. This Archon is not going to be immediately castable. I think that's fine. Like, I have 3 immediately uncounterable cards. Ponder, that's a-okay. I would love a Chrome Mox. Like, holy shit, I would love a Chrome Mox. Alright, no shuffle with the Ponder. Ooh, that's really good. That means I don't have to get Wastelanded in the first turn cycle, and I can still cast Archon on turn 2, counterably, if that is something that I want to do. I will probably get a lot of information from my opponent's play here, in terms of sculpting my hand. Sure. What? 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 I mean, resolves, but wasn't really expecting that. Archon? Archon's really good here. Thalia is also really good, but Archon's so hot here. I'm gonna accept that this could get countered. Like, these sorts of effects are just better the earlier they come into play. And I will probably Solitude this card away. Yeah. This deck fucks. Absolutely. Okay, so that's my opponent's one spell. I'm gonna go ahead and Solitude here. Pitching Enlistment Officer. And we'll just take out my opponent's Mare uncounterably. Salute you, Mare, for your hard work. Now I'll untap my Plains here. Goes on Soldier. I will dump a Thalia into play. And crash in with an Archon. Alright. Cool. Opponent's deck is sweet. I love whatever nonsense it is. I think I just have ended up too far ahead here. Like, I've got 4 power on board to my opponent's 0. Their Winter Orb is slowing them down. Like, it's slowing me down too. Like, don't get me wrong here. But life is real awkward for my opponent. Like, that's their 1 spell per turn, and then their lands enter tapped. There's a shuffle. Okay, they did find a land. Wish I could recruit her for another Solitude. Untap the Ancient Tomb here. Okay. So I crash in for 4. My opponent goes to 8. Sorry, my opponent goes to 10. I've got a land drop. Did I leave 1 Cathar Commando in the deck, I guess, is my question. I guess it doesn't matter. I think I'm playing Recruiter 100% of the time here. So this just happens. Yes, I will use this ability. I can play a 3-drop next turn. Preeminent Captain is super cute. I think I just want either a Brutal Cathar or a Palace Jailer. Or if my opponent actually gets a creature into play. But I'm just going to grab a Cathar Commando in case I decide the Winter Orb's gotta go. It's also just a flash creature, so it's something that I can use to break the parity on my Archon. I don't think I want to get rid of the Winter Orb, but I want to have the options. GG's, opponent's deck is cool. Like, whatever they're doing over there, I respect it. I wish I saw more, though. Alright, round 2. Our hand has a decent mix of lands and spells. However, it has no acceleration and no real game plan. Like, the plan is fair turn 2 Cathar Commando into turn 3 Archon on the draw. I don't think this wins. This is a 1-lander. This does not win. This is actually pretty good. 1 Suppression Field goes back. And then 1 of the 3 drops goes back. Probably just the Captain. It doesn't really matter in most worlds. Because, like, a 3-drop goes under here, and then I play Suppression Field, followed by me playing Thalia. Unless I draw a land, in which case I have... I don't think I can play Thalia this turn, I think. It just locks me from casting these cards most of the time. Let's start here. This goes on Soldier. I play Chrome Mox, pitching Thalia Heretic Cathar. And then I decide which one of these hate pieces I would like to play. Force of Negation, pitching Dress Down. That's really rough after my double mulligan. Maybe I'm supposed to play Chrome Mox. I don't know, like, this keeps me from eating Force of Negation on the more relevant card. Like, this is obviously bad for me, but, We'll see exactly how bad. Okay. Very bad. Very bad. Always lucky. Here's a Chalice on 1, which is very likely to resolve. Seems like my opponent might be playing a bug, like bug Dreadnought deck. I am going to Yu-Gi-Oh! Ancient Tomb to the top of my deck now. Yu-Gi-Oh! Phil, what is it like to be such a good Magic player? I know everyone is asking in the comments. Well, it feels pretty damn good. Not gonna lie to you, YouTube, it feels pretty damn good. That's a respectable draw. It's not good yet, but it will be in the future. Alright, there's 3 damage to my opponent. Definitely a little spooked by future Wastelands, or I guess Life from the Loam, but Thalia does slow them down. Absolutely, fuck that. That is a game that I don't want to be playing here. Costs me a lot of life over time via this Ancient Tomb. I don't really have much of a choice about it. This is happening. And then at some point, my opponent finds a removal spell and actually can start brainstorming with Jace in a protected way. And it will be no bueno. Until then. Until then, there's hope. This is nice for if my opponent just, finds an Endurance style card. Hey, there we go. This is all fine. Send my junk cards back into my deck. And we probably call it a turn here. Alright, so Jace probably brainstorms this turn. They're probably going to think that they are safe with Endurance as a blocker. I take that out, hopefully kill the Jace, and we move on from there. I'll be pretty bad versus Force of Will. And, ooh. What's the other mode? Return a land? Sure. I'm guessing that is going to return Wasteland. I was going to return Wasteland. Now I can't be No, okay. They returned to the Wasteland, but didn't do it immediately. Ancient Tomb is my best draw here, I think. That's fine for later. 100% of the time I have to try this. I actually do this tapping this land because of Back to Basics. I don't expect that, but free to play around. Alright, cool. Alright. Goodbye Endurance. And hopefully goodbye Jace as well. Gross. My opponent fucked that up, though. Oh, no, they didn't, because the Endurance would enter tap. JK. Alright, good line for them. I've dealt 8 to myself with this Ancient Tomb. And now my opponent gets to Wasteland my Ancient Tomb. Is not great for me. Alright, you've got a Delta. You've got a Strix. At this point, I'm just gonna F6 while trying to open this impossible-to-open Gatorade. Nope, absolutely impossible. Whatever this is, I don't like it. Yep, confirmed, do not like. There's a good blocker in play for Jace. Can't open this Gatorade. We'll get it during sideboarding time. And I think I've lost this one now. The Uro comes into play. Jace is here. This kills Strix. I will play on for a turn or so, but I kind of expect that I'm going to be conceding here. I just, don't have a singular draw that really helps me out. I think I'll be very good against this deck after sideboarding, though. My opponent has Uros and Life from the Loams that my rips hit. They're looking to get to a lot of lands with things like with Witherbloom Command. That rip is going to be good against. Okay. At this point, that's going to be a follow-up Uro. After that, I'm comfortable conceding here. All right. I have roughly 6 cards that I want. Historically, I haven't loved Chalice versus bug decks. They just have things like Abrupt Decay, Witherbloom Command, Assassin's Trophy that just, make this lock piece less good. I think I'm all about removing these, and that becomes 4 of these cards. I do want the full set of Rest in Peace. I think I'm going to cut the Cathar Commando. I think I'm fine not having an answer to a random Sylvan Library. And then I think I'm comfortable cutting either one Recruiter or one Palace Jailer from there. Like, the Palace Jailer is very good when it's good, and then the Monarchy just loses me a game in a decent subset of those games. That said, I think Recruiter is very slow here. I think that's fine. I'm gonna open this Gatorade. Alright, problem solved. We can head into the match. Alright. I would like to play first. Yeah. Yeah, this is fine. It doesn't actually have as much mana as I might like, but this is okay. Gonna be a turn 1 Thalia, turn 2 Rest in Peace, and I don't know, maybe fuck around in Armageddon later. Alright. This will be Chromox. We'll put the Armageddon under it, because casting Ravages of War is just, strictly speaking, cooler than Armageddon. Alright, we want to go on Soldier here. And we'll cast a Thalia. So this probably keeps my opponent from doing anything in the first turn cycle. Which is nice. I would love to draw another Hatebear. That's interesting. We're gonna have to talk about that, YouTube. Because I can just Chromox Rest in Peace rather than play Rest in Peace and then work towards drawing a mana source to cast Ravages of War. That's a thing that I'm allowed to do. I think that's exceptionally greedy, though. It's so greedy. I don't think I can live with trying that. Like, I've shut off an important zone for my opponent. I'm kind of taxing them from 2 different angles. I think the Ravages just backfires too much of the time. Let's see if my Thalia eats a Fatal Push here. Does not. And I will go ahead and play an uncounterable Preeminent Captain. And we'll kind of see what my opponent has to say. Are we getting pushed? Ooh, the Preeminent Captain is getting pushed instead, which is very good for me, because that card's not actually good here, but my opponent doesn't know that. Oh, disgusting. Alright. I'm willing to take some damage from this creature to work towards worlds where I hardcast this Solitude instead. I'm not ahead on board, so I can't really Ravages of War anymore. Oh, shit. Well, that's fucking bad. Oh, God. We're going down. Straight up, I think there's worlds where my opponent is supposed to 0 this and just get rid of this Chromox to press their current advantage. I don't know what their hand looks like, but I would be thinking about that. Alright, my circumstances have changed enough where... Man, fuck this deed, though. This deed is so good. Alright. So, this gets rid of the Plague Engineer. And... I'm gonna pass the turn. I don't think I play Thalia into Pernicious Deed. I think I hope that my opponent just, like, takes the 2-for-1 with Deed and doesn't just, like, sandbag it. Like, playing the Thalia out incentivizes my opponent getting a 3-for-1 and incentivizes them popping that. But they very easily could just sit on this forever. In which case I will find it very hard to beat. Okay, cool. So, none of those cards hit the graveyard, and I can draw any white card to Chromox here. And kind of get back on board. Alright, nice. By Jailer. Hello, Thalia. But I definitely feel like my opponent's ahead here. And, like, not by a little bit either, but by, like, leaps and bounds. Okay. Damage fuck. Witherbloom Command is always absolute butt when I play it, and then other people play it, and they get to do that. It's not fair. It's absolutely not fair. Okay, sure. How bad's the follow-up? Okay, we're fetching. Is it Uro time? Okay, that's not bad. That's a little annoying. But a decent number of my creatures do have First Strike, so, like, that's something. A little better versus Planeswalkers now, but Suppression Field does not matter with the amount of mana that my opponent currently has. Like, it's not like it does nothing, but, you know. Position's bad. Okay. Rest in Peace. Rest in Peace off the top would be super clutch. Okay, cool. So my Suppression Field did keep an Uro from getting into play this turn. But it's in play next turn. And then I think I have exactly a 1-turn window to draw. Oh, wow, they didn't fetch end of turn? That was a mistake. That was almost certainly a mistake. But that's okay. Or Strix. Okay, no, it's a fetch, sure. I need to spike my answer to this Uro here. All right. I think if my opponent gets the 6 damage, I'm just far enough behind that I can't really win. I'm going to go ahead and respect my own time here and concede. Like, this is a hit for 8, and then, like, my opponent has drawn another card, gain more life. They have 2 Death Touchers on board. I don't think it happens from there. All right, round 3 opening hand has a turn 2 Thalia Heretic Cathar. It's kind of whatever. I think I keep it. Like, there's only so many pieces of mana acceleration here. Let's send out Flagstones as probably my safest land here. There's some niche matchups where, like, I'm supposed to play out the Chrome Box on turn 1, but I'd rather not give away that information. Like, right now, I just look like Death and Taxes, probably, and, like, that's not what I'm doing. It's similar, but, like, that's not what I'm doing. Dragon Rage Channeler is fine. We'll see how quickly my opponent can go towards Murktide Regent. That's probably going to be the defining card of this matchup, is like whether or not I can answer a Murktide in a timely fashion, or like rest in peace Murktide out of the way. All right, draw your card. I'm going to assume that Enlistment Officer is probably my worst card in this hand. Recruiter gets removal spells very specifically, and Enlistment Officer doesn't necessarily do that. Yeah, alright. So Enlistment Officer goes under. Cavern on Soldier here. And I am going to go ahead and just drop the immediate Thalia Heretic Cathar. Like, my opponent just Lightning Bolts this in some worlds and it does nothing. But there's other worlds where my opponent doesn't have the immediate Lightning Bolt, and their Fetch Lands and Volcanic Island combination puts them really far behind. So, like, if they have a Bolt in hand, this play does almost nothing. And if they don't, like, holy shit, this play was really good. Okay. Not an immediate Bolt. Some good news. Land into Graveyard. So they've only got land and artifact so far. Okay. I should now be safe from Lightning Bolt for this turn cycle. It's pretty unlikely that my opponent has a mountain. Oh my gosh, my opponent just paid the life for Steam Vents with Thalia Heretic Cathar in play. That does not work the way that you want it to, friend. Fantastic for me. Again, though, like, Murktide Regent is an asshole. If my opponent does not have Murktide Regent in hand right now, the play is Chalice of the Void. And if they do have it in hand, the play is Recruiter of the Guard for Palace Jailer, or another equivalent removal spell. Maybe not Palace Jailer. My opponent will have a 3/3 flyer next turn in some number of worlds. I hate fucking having to play around Murktide Regent. I hate it so much. Opponent says, I gotta clean it up here so I don't look like a dummy on YouTube. Alright. I also don't want to look like a dummy on YouTube by dying to Murktide Regent, so I think I'm going to Recruiter of the Guard this turn. I don't love it, but I think it's where I'm at. Alright, let's recruit. I think it is just going to be Brutal Cathar. I think it's just going to be Brutal Cathar. Like, the Palace Jailer is better in a lot of timelines, but the timeline where, like, I get Wastelanded or something off of casting Brutal Cathar is really scary for me. Or sorry, where I get Wastelanded off of casting Palace Jailer is scary to me. Okay, so Jordan, for when you watch this later, I'm very curious as to why you Expressive Iteration after playing your land here. Because, like, with EI, you very much would love to hit a different land drop off of that and play that tapped. And you kind of took away your possibility of doing that. Now, if you knew from like a brainstorm or something that like you had a bobble there already, like it's fine. But that looked really weird to me from the other side of the table. So I'm very much winning the race at the moment. I have 4 power in play to your 3. Ooh. Like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, as long as I'm willing to have my cards be counterable, I have absolutely great options this turn. So let's go ahead and attack here. All right, opponent goes to 11, then down to 10. And now we need to do the flagstones trick. So we float a mana, do this, keep the untapped flagstones. This now lets me search for a basic plains that will be tapped. You have to play Archon second in this sequence that I am about to do. So here is a Chalice of the Void. And I would love the Archon to not be dazed, but I think here it is more important to play both of these cards. The Daze gets a lot less scary with a Thalia Heretic Cathar already in play, so that, like, that card can't just be immediately... Or sorry, so that land can't just come into play untapped immediately with no consequences. I think in some capacity my opponent's turn has to involve, like, playing a Murktide Regent and also wastelanding my Cavern of Souls. Okay, yeah, there's half of that. Sure, I'll take the 3. I'll crash in for 7. I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to Brutal Cathar. Like the Ledger Shredder or anything. Alright. Battle. A lot of damage. Opponent's at 4. I think I just hold this for a blocker next turn. And play Thalia. Like, continuing to lean into this taxation is good. And if my opponent is sandbagging some sort of Force of Will to deal with this card that they already know about, then this makes that more awkward. Hey! Exactly the line that I was just talking about, and there is a Daze. Okay. So I imagine I've got this next turn in most worlds. Unless... I don't know, if my opponent can counter this, I might not be in that great a shape. Also, holy shit, this Thalia Heretic Cathar has done work. Capital W work. This game. Okay, and there's our concession. So my opponent's deck may or may not actually have Delvers in it, since they have Ledger Shredders. So we'll keep that in mind in sideboarding. I'm probably not boarding much. Cathar Commando can definitely go out for a Rest in Peace. I'm kind of thinking about Geddon and whether or not I like it. I don't think I like it. My opponent's got Dazes still. And while they're looking to go long with EI and Mystic Sanctuary, my Hatebears and lock pieces should make that at least a little awkward for them. Chalices are fine here. Better on the play than draw, but they're still fine. Ledger Shredder is just pretty good against Chalice in particular. I think on the draw, I'm comfortable cutting 2 Suppression Fields. I don't know, like Recruiter of the Guard might be worse, or like Enlistment Officer. And just like keep a higher density of early plays. Viewing Suppression Field as something more that protects me from Wasteland than something that, yeah, actually, maybe Enlistment Officer is worse than Suppression Field. Sorry, I don't know if I finished that thought. I'm viewing Suppression Field as something that protects me from Wasteland rather than something that stops my opponent's fetches. This is awkward versus Wasteland as of right now, but otherwise is pretty strong. I think I'm comfortable keeping this. We'll lead on Ancient Tomb because I need to protect Cavern of Souls from Wasteland. Ooh, my opponent is going to 5, which is unexpected. On 5, if I can get a Suppression Field in play, that's probably pretty hot. But, like, we'll see. Like, Dragon Rage, like, if that hand has, like, Dragon Rage Channeler, a Bobble, and, like, a Murktide Regent, like, it's fucking insane still, right? Crisis of Progress. Holy shit. Okay. All right. Calm down over there. I don't like that. That card's very good against me. I think I have 5 or 6 basic planes. I've got flagstones because of the Armageddons that I'm playing in the sideboard. I'm just gonna drag this out for a second so you all can can see this opponent has been fun chatting. All right, back you go. Something like that. Okay. I think with this hand, it will be worth it to play Suppression Field on turn 2. I think I'm okay with this. I could sit here for like literally 10 minutes and work out all of the permutations for like what various things do on this turn. But I think since my opponent has stumbled, I want to make it so it feels like they stumble even more. Like, I really want to take advantage of that fact, so I want to, like, play Suppression Field. If they have resources to use to get rid of that, great, and then I'll try to very quickly take over the game with Preeminent Captain. Alright. Oh, shit. Sorry, I thought I was about to F6 through my turn and nearly had a heart attack. Okay, how do I feel about Daze? I think I'm fine with it. So let's just jam this. Keeps me from getting wastelanded in the future, and makes it so that my Cavern of Souls is much more likely to stick around. And then we're basically just hoping opponent does not have Murktide in their hand right now. If they do, I can Recruiter for Solitude and try to answer that. That's definitely scary. Like, that's not Murktide Regent, but it's still scary. I think if my opponent had Daze, it's Dazed. I think I don't play around Daze here. I think I just go Cavern on Soldier, Uncounterable Recruiter, and then grab a Solitude. I'm fine doing this now. Pitching Big Thalia? I think pitching Big Thalia. Okay, that's fine. There's a lot of looks at Daze or Force, though. Wow, getting rid of a Murktide Regent. We have a counterspell. No, we do. Alright, so say no to this, but then I just take 6 in the air. And I think I'm dead in 2 turns. I think I just take 6/6 and then a Lightning Bolt. Okay, there is a Ledger Shredder. I take 6. My opponent has 3 creatures in play. Yeah, that's fine. GG's. And let's see if we want to adjust sideboarding here. Suppression Fields are a little better on the play. We didn't succeed in like stopping my opponent from like getting a second blue fetch or like protecting my stuff from Wasteland. I just died to flyers. I don't think I'm going to change anything here. Like, Enlistment Officer is okay. Like, I'm not excited about that card. And a lot of the most pivotal actions of the game are over before Enlistment Officer can actually become relevant. This is a very good hand with limited mana. I think I'm comfortable keeping this. I'm a little unsure which card goes under Chromox, despite having 2 copies of Thalia. It's like in the worlds where Chromox gets countered, or in the worlds where I don't draw a land, it's very nice to just have that backup Thalia. We'll see, though. Alright. Chromox has occurred. I think I do still just do this. And hopefully stick Rest in Peace this turn. Again, Ledger Shredder. Ah, shit. Ledger Shredder means that that is slightly less scary than, like, versus a more traditional Blue-Red Delver build, but, you know. Okay, yet another opening on Dragon Rage Channeler. Not great for me. Due to the mana awkwardness here, I think I just go ahead and lead on a Chalice for 1 this turn, rather than a Thalia, because I can't do them in the other order, and I've missed my land drop for this turn. Cool, cool! No, I cannot pay for that card. Alright. So, this is only 2 card types in Graveyard. Okay. What? That's wrong. Yeah, I'll play a Suppression Field. You don't have a second land yet. That's fine with me. Okay, that has occurred. Opponent missed a point of damage there. Yeah, hopefully I can, like, do this, do Thalia, and then start doing some of this stuff. Like, I've got a removal spell. Okay, they just topped something, which is presumably just, like, a volcanic island. I think there's very few cards other than that my opponent will actively want right now. Yep. Okay. I mean, that's scary. Like, in the worlds where I don't draw another land to get to Brutal Cathar. Like, I just die to that. Okay. It's bad. Hopefully Thalia resolves. It limits some of my opponent's options. Okay. Alright, that is Lightning Bolt on Thalia. And they topped something there. I'm only taking 2 as of right now, but I'm just very dead if I don't draw another land. I mean, I guess. There's Chromox. Preeminent Captain is probably not doing its thing here. Do I believe in Archon of Emeria? I think I have to believe in Archon of Emeria and hold Brutal Cathar for a turn. It sucks if my opponent just turns both of these into 3/3s this turn, but they topped something last turn rather than trying to just grow these as quickly as possible. So I can keep this for another turn cycle in case my opponent plays Murktide Regent, which would be the scariest thing on board. Okay. This actually is not bad for me. So my opponent can only play one spell, so they can't get value out of the expressive iteration other than by doing a land, which will enter tapped. This does unfortunately mean that both of these attack as 3/3s, and so I can no longer hold Brutal Cathar for Murktide Regent. Opponent did hit the Valk, though. Alright, I go to 11. Life's bad. Very soft to daze currently. I'll hold this for another turn, hoping to Solitude next turn. Alright. Take out one of those. I guess this is attacking, because it's not blocking. Opponent drops to 16, but I'm pretty far behind. And I'm very scared of, like, Ledger Shredder or Murktide Regent. Alright. So I take my obligatory 3 damage, and we see if I die to Murktide. I go to 8. Okay, that's really good for me. That's my opponent's only spell this turn. Because of Archon. That was a shuffle. Oh shit. That's really good. I need this to resolve. This is better by a lot than going for Recruiter for Solitude. My opponent's turn cast Solitude. Okay, so my opponent just brainstormed. That brainstorm means they cannot Force of Will because of Archon. That is a huge breath of relief for me. Alright, so that means this resolves. This is a 1/1 forever. Well, like maybe forever, you know. I get to attack for my 4 points of damage. I currently have the better clock. Stuff can happen. Like, there can absolutely be blowouts involving this card getting removed. But I think, like, the blowouts where that happens also have to involve a Brazen Borrower, probably. Okay, this is the 2 mana for Suppression Field for cracking the Flooded Strand. That land enters tapped. So, we just pondering? Yeah, we are just pondering. I'm probably Recruiter of the Guarding for another Brutal Cathar. I am absolutely just looking to limp over the finish line here. No attack there seems weird to me. Like, this is going to be an X1 this turn cycle. I think that's missed damage. That feels like missed damage to me. Let's get in for my 4. Brings opponent to 7. We'll cast a Recruiter of the Guard. Yes, I will use this ability. I'm not wastelandable currently. I am meltdownable. I think I want the thing that I can hardcast. I think I want the thing that I can hardcast. It's possible Solitude is just better, though. There's worlds where I need this extra card. I don't know. Like, maybe I grab Solitude and... No. Okay. I'm already playing around days now, in which case this is just better for me. I think I go ahead and just do this pre-combat to make my attacks easier. Go ahead and exile one of these. Crash in for 5. See if my opponent has some sort of Lightning Bolt effect. Alright, Lightning Bolt on the Archon. Not 100% sure if that's correct, because you can Lightning Bolt on the Brutal Cathar and then get a thing back. I don't know my opponent's hand, though. Next turn, if I draw a white card, I have Recruiter for Solitude for remove blocker. Okay. That's fine. Goodbye, Chromox. There's a Ledger Shredder. So you're probably supposed to do that in the other order, right? Because then you get a counter on Ledger Shredder. Fantastic. So this goes on Soldier. We'll go ahead and cast this. Yes, I will use this ability. We'll pick up yet another Brutal Cathar. And that will be uncounterable removal for Ledger Shredder next turn. And then we're looking at theoretical lethal. I can get Wastelanded. Takes a lot of my opponent's resources to do that, though. Okay, this is the point of the game where expressive iteration is really good. Oh. I don't know about this, but it sure is interesting. Is this my opponent thinking, like, I'm dead 100% of the time if I don't find Wasteland? That's a neat line. They put a card on top with the Dragon Rage Channeler trigger. Oh, no, they didn't. Oh, I see. Sorry, that was the Ledger Shredder thing resolving. All right, there's paying for the days. All right, that card went on top. Or no, that one must have been... Okay, so this was from the days. Okay, cool. A Brainstorm has entered exile. Okay. We are digging deep for that Wasteland. So I guess they really need, like, Wasteland plus days, though. Right? Like, they need to Wasteland me and then be able to daze if I draw a land as my top deck. Yeah, I think this is the GG point, so to speak. All right. Take out Ledger Shredder. Send in the crew. And this is 4 damage after blocking a 2/2. And not even a gut shot, I think, saves my opponent here. Ugh. All right. GG. I think my opponent made some small missteps that tilted the scales in my favor. Like they missed an attack. I was a little unsure of some of their sequencing, but they played pretty well in a couple of other spots too. I think I kind of evaluated my Suppression Field game 2, and I could have played that one differently, and maybe ended up in a better result in that game. Regardless, GG's. Hey folks, I hope you're enjoying the show. If you are, please consider leaving a like on the video or a comment. It helps out a lot. And if you end up wanting to play this Soldier Stompy decklist specifically, keep in mind in the next set there is going to be a 2-mana Soldier Lord that might be worth including in this decklist. Alright, back to the magic. Alright, round 4 here. I will be keeping my hand. Assuming I don't get Wastelanded, this hand is very strong. Turn 1 Chalice into turn 2 Preeminent Captain into hopefully spiral the game out of control. Depending on what I see on the other side of the battlefield, there's also times where I will go ahead and just play Archon on turn 1 instead. Sorry, on turn 2 instead. Okay. Seeing Urborg makes me think about Dark Depths, which means Archon is probably incredibly strong, and we're unlikely to get countered here. So let's just floop that into play. And this probably does disgusting things to my opponent that probably mean that I win the first round here. Yeah, that's nice for me. All right, let's give a little love tap here. Drop my opponent to 18. Drop myself to 18 or to 14. Sorry, that's only fair. And then Preeminent Captain attacking gives me a really good way to get instant speed removal in the form of Solitude for if my opponent can Merit Lodge me. What do I have in the side? No, I did not want dungeon information. What do I have in the sideboard for this? Probably minimal stuff. Okay. It's also possible this is just like a mono black prison deck of some kind. And not an Urza Saga Dark Depths deck. Oh, Smallpox. That's really annoying here. I'm fine discarding like a Brutal Cathar here. Got 2. I think I get rid of the Archon. Just like attack and put Palace Jailer into play and become the Monarch. This is tough. If I draw any white land, it's much better to have this. But this one's wastelandable, is the difference. I'm already at 13. I'm going to sacrifice the Ancient Tomb. Nice. All right. Do this. Yes. Put in the Palace Jailer. Do become the pretty princess. Hit my opponent for 4 and start just drawing towards more lands. Yeah, your Urza Sagas are fine. I'm hoping the game is over by the time those become relevant. Nice. I just play this probably pre-combat. Yeah, let's do this thing. Crash in for 4. Yes. I think I'll just put in another Preeminent Captain. It just helps me spiral more. Opponent goes to 7 when everything is said and done. Got a Cathar Commando that can blow up my opponent's Urza Saga token if they can make one. I can also just Birtle Cathar the token out of the way. This is what Preeminent Captain can do. Hey, okay. Playing against Pox. Suppression Field is nice for Urza Saga. I don't think I'm super interested in Chalice of the Void. Like, it helps with Dark Ritual type stuff, but a lot of my opponent's removal is like Smallpox and Sudden Edicts and stuff like that at higher CMCs, Liliana of the Veils, Lily Last Hopes. I can play, like, Rest in Peace. That sometimes does stuff. Sometimes. I think I'm more interested in just having more creatures so that I am less susceptible to any one kill spell, just kind of taking me off of density of cards. And then I can maybe play like a Rest in Peace or a Ravages of War to kind of round things out. Like, my opponent is ultimately a control deck. Like, if I take away all of their lands from them, that's not great for them. They might have some things like Crucible of Worlds that are very good for them. So IDK, this is like, you don't have sideboard cards for Pox. You have sideboard cards for other matchups that, like, maybe you can play versus Pox. Let's play 1 Ravages. Play 1 Ravages because it's fun. 1 Chalice of the Void might be better, but, like, not excited about that. Okay, I love Flagstones versus this deck, but this is just objectively too much mana. I'm going to jinx myself by saying this, but I don't want to mulligan too much in this matchup because, like, my opponent has discard. Successfully jinxed myself. We will go to 5. Easily the best hand of all of them so far. Going to be a Cathar Commando going back, and probably a Recruiter of the Guard. I don't know, like, maybe the Chrome Mox has to go back. Like, I really like turn 1 Thalia. My card density is maybe low enough that I can't afford to take another hit. The Recruiter's not very good, though. Chrome Mox always goes back. Or, sorry, Cathar Commando always goes back. I'm going to throw back Recruiter. Like, I don't love going down to what is effectively a 4-card hand, but if I play Thalia on turn 1 into a... that's horrifying. I don't know that I really beat this. Anyway, finishing my thought. If I play this Thalia on turn 1 into a top deck like Thalia, Heretic Cathar, or Archon, or equivalent, like, I think I just have a much better chance of winning. Ugh. Alright. Do I have to discard a land? Maybe I have to discard a land here. This is gross. I do not like it. Alright. Flagstones into Chrome Mox. Chrome Mox this. Play Edict Bait. Pass the turn. Hope to top deck a good 3-mana play so that I can empty my hand and be in a good position after that. Oh, okay. Yikes. Nice Ravages of War, idiot. Alright. So this Lily is going to eat me alive. I'm not going to concede because, like, I want more information. Like, I want to see if my opponent randomly has Gurmag Anglers or Tombstalkers or Crucibles or anything like that. Okay, I'm going to take 3 this turn. Reasonable. I'm down to 17. Alright. Oh no, what is this? Oh, I see, it's just casting it so that you can double activate Mishra's Factory. That's fine. Like, it's bad for me, but Could be worse. I guess I'd like to top deck Suppression Field. That does a lot of work on current board. That does nothing. Yeah, I guess, like, still, like, top decking Suppression Field is a pain in the butt for my opponent. Okay. I assume this is the same thing. I take 3. It is. I'm at 10. Okay. Land means that I can play the vast majority of my top decked cards minus the 3 remaining enlistment officers. I wonder if my opponent is supposed to wasteland my flagstones in upkeep, so that I have a tapped land for my turn, and then I'm just, like, less likely to be able to do something that impacts this Liliana. Thank you, Chromox. Very cool. Okay, yeah, the combination of, like, what was that, a mulligan to 5 plus turn 1 Liliana to play was very strong there. Alright, so I'm currently thinking about whether or not I want to play a Kataki. It taxes my Chrome Boxes, which is, like, not great, but it also can tax my opponent's, like, construct tokens and Pithing Needles or whatever tutor targets they have. The Kataki's just, like, aren't great. Like, Chalice isn't great, Ravages isn't great, Kataki's not great, Rest in Peace is maybe okay. I think this is 12 early plays on non-Ancient Tomb hands. I think this is fine. Like, the Chalice is not going to do a lot. Neither is Thorn, for that matter. Auto Mulligan. Oh, this hand's pretty bad. I'm keeping it, but this hand is pretty bad. Like, I just have all of these cards versus a deck that is unlikely to put very many creatures into play. It, like, is what it is. But triple Brutal Cathar is not where I want to be. This is straight up a Preeminent Captain aggro hand. If my opponent has, like, a turn 1 Thoughtseize type card or a turn 1 Edict, it's kind of bad for me. I guess it can be turn 2 Edict as well. If I play Thalia, my opponent cannot smallpox me. I think I'm into that. Don't want to get... Like, I don't want this card to hit an Edict if at all possible. Okay, cool. So we have potentially played around an Edict. And then hopefully I can just, like, aggro spiral this game out of control. Not guaranteed to happen, but that is what I want. I can now, like, I can now protect the Preeminent Captain from an Edict. Because I'm not great. Well, I'm okay versus a Plague Engineer, actually. Alright. Please don't leave me with both Brutal Cathars. Cool, that's fine. Okay. This is fine. So I'll attack with both of these. Yes to this ability. Put in this. Opponent goes to 12. I don't think I cast this. I think I give my opponent a chance to play out a creature that I can hit with an attack trigger. Yeah, I think that's correct. Just hoping that, like, this is good enough aggro. Very, very dead to, like, Toxic Deluge. Oh, this I don't even care about. Yeah, because I can sacrifice a Thalia and then just put a new one in. Okay, and I can put it in attacking a different target even. Oh, yeah. Alright, so this one will attack Lily. This one will attack you. I'll go ahead and yes, this ability. Put in an enlistment officer attacking you. Oh, yeah. Grab Palace Jailer and Recruiter. The rest of those can go in any order. Yes, I will use this ability. I'll go ahead and put a Palace Jailer into play. Attacking you. Becoming the Monarch. That's a very strong turn there. And then I will go ahead and do this. I don't have to take damage this time. And draw a card at my end step. I guess Toxic Deluge can still happen. But, like, I'm the Monarch now, so... You may absolutely kill my Thalia out of spite. That's totally fine. And, yeah. Attack you. Do this thing. Yes. Put in a Recruiter. Yes. Grab a Recruiter. Yes. Do Recruiter. Yes. This is cool. I like this. Grab another recruiter, just in case something were to go wrong. And we do win the match there. What are we now? Are we 2-2? No, we're 3-1. Fantastic. Okay, final round here. I believe I'm 3-1. I played against this opponent yesterday when I was playing that Elves deck, and they were on Reanimator then. This hand has a Caracas versus Reanimator, and otherwise I don't think I'm interacting fast enough for when I'm on the draw. I really want a Chrome Mox or Ancient Tomb based hand here. The pretty good 6-card hand, but again, it doesn't have that acceleration, and I'm very afraid on the draw that if I don't make a relevant turn 1 play, I just lose this match. I think I'm going to go deeper here. Like, if I'm wrong and this player isn't playing Reanimator, like, I'll accept this, but, like, they were literally playing it yesterday. Very good. Very fucking good. In no world does Ancient Tomb or Chalice of the Void go back. Thalia, Heretic, Athar probably always goes back, I think. If I send Archon back, I can keep Cavern as my land, which is worth something because Chancellor triggers are a thing. One spell a turn matters for Dark Ritual-based lines. Alright, let's keep these two. Throw back these two and be a little softer to Chancellor in a way that I'm not comfortable with. Okay, no Chancellor. Alright. We're not going to be super great at this matchup on the draw. And unfortunately, we lost the die roll in game 1. So that means we're on the draw in games 1 and 3. I think I lose this match to the die roll here, which is unfortunate. It is what it is. But it's just pretty disappointing. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and concede here. Like, I can Caracas bounce this Grizzlebrand, but my opponent has another draw 7. They will have 14 cards. They get to take my best card here. I would rather them not know what bullshit I'm on. I think I'm just dead a high enough percentage of the time that hiding that information is worth it. Yeah, I'm just in trouble to my opponent mulliganing to a turn 1 here. And I know my opponent has blue for show and tell, based on my interactions yesterday. I got 7 cards that I want to board in. I don't really want Cathar Commando. Like, it has niche utility in being able to destroy and animate dead specifically, but I think that's kind of medium. Probably not interested in this effect. I need a few more board outs after that. Suppression Field is pretty medium. I think I have to keep the vast majority of this stuff. Palace Jailer is really slow, though, and requires double pips in a way that I don't like. I can also just trim Suppression Field since, like, I have much better 2-drop plays. This just gives me a higher density of 2-drop plays. Like, this is only a turn 1 play on Chrome Mox hands, whereas these are 1-drop plays on both Ancient Tomb and Chrome Mox hands. Let's do this, and then probably on the draw, I board out the 2 Suppression Fields for something else. This is a single mana source hand. This is no good. This'll be a keep. It's not great, but this'll probably be a keep. I'm going to keep this. I think getting rid of the Palace Jailer over the Brutal Cathar. Like, the Palace Jailer is better if I cheated in via Preeminent Captain. But if I get, like, Thought Seized or something and lose this, the Palace Jailer is a dead card for a little while. So let's go ahead and junk that. Or actually, I guess, like, Preeminent Captain is what I'm keeping because I'm putting Brutal Cathar under this to turn 1 Suppression Field. Alright. So you're in. I don't think I show Caracas on turn 1. I think I show Flagstones. The Suppression Field is slightly awkward with my Caracas, but I'm hoping I can get my opponent's fetch lands here and slow them down. This is not my premium 8-piece here. This is like, is it good enough? But, like, given how Chrome Mox accelerates me into the 3 drops, like, I think this hand is a keep. It's just unfortunate, like, if they start with Badlands or Lotus Petal and they can just go off. But in the worlds where that is not the case, I have a good amount of time. Okay, this can still be end of turn in Tomb. I fucked up by playing that Caracas first. I'm absolutely not supposed to play that Caracas first because my opponent can now change their Entomb target to a non-legendary. Oh god, that was a fucking punt. Damn it. That's potentially a game-losing mistake right there. Alright, Arcana Cruelty hits the band. I super punted this game, though, right there, I think. Like, there's worlds where they just have a fetch land as their next mana source, or, like, they've only got Reanimates in hand, and I can maybe still pull this out, but that was super bad on my end. Nice. Less nice. Okay, so if they're taking this long, they don't have the Animate Dead or the Exhume. They can convert a Lotus Petal into a land, using the mana to fetch. Oh, okay. They did have it. Okay. I can still rip a removal spell here and be okay. But again, I punted this game. Alright. That goes on Soldier. I'll pass the turn. Yeah, micro decisions matter. I'm going to take 5 here from the attack and another 3 from the trigger. So I really don't have much time to get out of this. I know there's a Palace Jailer on the bottom of my deck. This is actually cruel, right? This tutors for my answer, but I don't have another white card to pair with this to get Solitude. So I don't have any 1-drops in this deck. I just straight up use this as deck thinning. And we'll just take out any number of dead draws here. What is the worst of these? Probably Preeminent Captain. Just double check the wording of this. Okay, cool. I was just making sure there wasn't like an unless clause there. I don't know. Like maybe I still just lose this game to, I don't know. Like maybe my opponent doesn't get a legendary creature anyway because like Suppression Field makes Grizzlebrand noticeably worse. Like maybe I didn't actually change the result of this match through my misplay. Very possible I did. That play makes no sense. You are about, like, you know what card I have in hand. You are about to attack with this. My opponent just cost themselves 2 cards. I mean, I'll take it. It's a pretty bad misplay. But, you know, I just made a pretty bad one myself, so who am I to talk here? Alright. I go to 1. I have to rip a removal spell for this right now. And I ripped a Chrome Mox, so I will concede here. Now, that said, like, even if I win that game, I still think I just lose the game where I'm on the draw because I don't have turn 1 interaction like Surgicals or Leylines or anything. Alright, so at the end of the day, we got a 3-2. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Not bad. One of the things I talked about in the intro is that the mana base for these decks is sometimes a little bit sketch. The mana base for this version felt a little bit good. It is only running Ancient Tombs. It is not running City of Traders as well. You know, we don't have like the Thought-Knot Seer type cards here that require the colorless, so that helps out a little bit in terms of the mana pips. And sort of like with Red Prison builds currently, the curve here mostly stops at 3, making it so that it's relatively like reasonable to keep these hands that are 1 white source and Ancient Tomb. I'm not necessarily sold on all of the cards in the deck. Enlistment Officer felt relatively weak throughout this league. I wonder if there's other sources of card advantage that could be better here. If you are playing in paper, I think there's a 2 colorless and a white card that, like, white creature that gives the initiative. That is maybe something that I would look into if you're playing in paper. I don't remember offhand if it's like a human or a soldier. That's something that I would be thinking about. Or Cathar Commando seems pretty excessive to me. Like, I definitely want at least one of these in the 75 as a recruiter target. I don't know that I need the full playset of those. I'm not super keen on that. Otherwise, I'm pretty much on board with all of the stuff that's in the deck list. There's some minor tweaking things that I'm unsure about. So for example, is a Ganjo actually better than basic planes in your Suppression Field deck? There's some questions of that nature that I still have that I would need to play more games with. Generally speaking, I like this. Rest in Peace is a flexible and powerful card. If you're playing online specifically, like maybe Leyline is better because like there's a lot of fast graveyard combo online between like Oops and Reanimator. But you can probably take the turn off against something like Blue Red Delver to play Rest in Peace. And I think we played a Rest in Peace match in this league where like Rest in Peace turned the Dragon Rage Channelers into 1/1 and prevented Murktide Regent from getting into play. And like that felt very good. But when playing against extremely fast combo decks that can potentially go off on turn 1 or turn 2, I do feel a little light on interaction without any mind breaks, ley lines, surgicals, things of that nature. But generally speaking, like this gets a thumbs up from me. This was fun to play. The Preeminent Captain hands are really fun and do some ridiculous things. And overall, I like it. Would I take it to a competitive event? No, maybe not. Is it great for FNM or great for, messing around and playing a league? Yes, absolutely. I think so. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please click the like button on the way out. It helps out a lot. If you end up wanting to mess around with this deck list some more or get one of your own decks on the channel, all of that information is available in the video description. Have a great rest of the day. See ya!